Welcome to Joe's Happy Hour, a show about markets and life hosted by Joe Fahmy. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be regarded as personalized investment advice or relied upon for any investment decisions. Joe Fahmy is an employee of Zor Capital, and he and his clients may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. All opinions expressed by Joe are solely his own and do not reflect the opinions of Zor Capital. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on this program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Howard Lindzon.
Hey, buddy.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for doing this. This is happy birthday, by the way.
Yep, 60 years old.
It's amazing.
Well,
60's the new 50.
amazing because you didn't think I'd make it.
I know you're gonna outlive all of us. Quick introduction: angel investor, Canadian, co-founder of Stocktwits. I have my Stocktwits and OG Stocktwits.
That's OG.
mug.
Yeah.
And managing partner at Social Leverage, which is also on here.
Yeah.
Lover
We're pimping our stuff.
Lover of falafel.
Lover of falafel.
This is accurate so far, right?
Yep.
Okay. Partner at Knightsbridge Capital, author of Wall Strip Edge.
Yep. Bad
And-
title, good book.
Yeah. And I like to let my guests introduce themselves if there's anything I left out or what you want to let the audience know about yourself. Besides being one of the best investors I know. And that's just God's honest truth. But go ahead.
Well, it's a bull market. It's been a bull market since I
No.
was born. So I always do say that. It's amazing because, it's America, right? So if you're born when I was born, 1965, and you just invested,
Yeah.
you'd have to be pretty bad not to be successful. So a lot of people pat themselves on the back for, it's just being alive from 1965 and like understanding that you could invest. So yeah, it's been a bull market. But born in Toronto, wife, 2 kids. My son went to UNLV here, 26 and 27, and
Okay.
been married almost 30 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have a whole list of things. I mean, whenever we get together in our conversations, we can talk about everything: comedy, investing, trends, and even just whatever bullshit. But I first wanted to thank you because you're the reason I started JoeFahmy.com.
Was it Phil or me?
Well,
or?
both of you guys.
Yeah.
So I knew Chris Brogan, who was a friend of yours, and Chris Brogan got me onto Twitter, and then he said, you should connect with Howard Lindzon, who runs Stocktwits, because your vertical is perfect fit. And then I forget if he made the introduction, and you and Phil Perlman convinced me to buy JoeFahmy.com, buy the URL, and built the site. And I have a huge thank you. I'm forever grateful for that.
Are you WordPress still?
Still WordPress, yeah.
Yeah. So our thing was we loved WordPress. I mean, I don't think we're finally getting to the place 2025 where like lovable, like you can actually whip up something pretty quick.
Yeah.
But so when I started blogging, everybody has someone that's like their person that got them into something, right? So for me, it was like the internet was like, we were just talking about with the guy who runs the place, is, before Apple, before the first Apple store, in the financial industry, everything was DOS.
Yeah.
Which meant like for a lot of like me, it was just like, it was like your first date. Like you were scared of touching buttons. You didn't know what would happen if you pushed this, if there was a restraining order would come next. So the Windows world was a disaster for guys or people that weren't computer focused. Now we're 25 years later. You almost have to be. Anybody can do it. So that it was my introduction to the whole thing of investing, and so I've been lucky too because when I started really investing, Apple was just making its comeback.
Yeah,
and I was an early Apple fanboy because of the iPod. So again, it's hard not to be successful if you stumble upon something like the iPod and the Apple Store. And fall in love with it and just ride that trend.
Well, I was about to say, it's one thing
holding's hard.
It's one thing to identify the trends. Yeah. It's another thing because you're really good at riding. So riding some of those trends, some of the biggest
Are we off topic yet? Are we even?
We're already. I don't even know. We don't have a topic.
Okay.
It's whatever you want to talk about.
But trends is a fascinating thing.
Trends is fascinating because the best traders and investors I know, even if they do trade shorter term, they understand bigger picture. And a lot of people are so consumed with chain smoking cigarettes, 1 minute chart, making $1 million in a day, and whatever it is. But they understand bigger picture. You understand those bigger picture trends. So identifying them is a gift in itself, and it takes a lot of insight. And to your point, sticking with it.
Well, the first name of my blog was it was called Trends. Find them, ride them,
and get off. Yeah.
So, and it was fun. It was like a play on words.
Right,
and
right.
It was very popular with like really smart people because, it's the one thing to find them, the other thing to ride them. I think the key point is selling, right? Because you can buy, it's easy to buy. There's a comedy show. Oh, you can just, it was a Seinfeld episode. You know how to take the reservation. You just don't know how to hold the reservation, right? So it's like Seinfeld kind of covered all this stuff, even though it wasn't about investing. So it's like we live in a world where you can click a button and own shares of anything.
Right.
So it's a magical. People wonder why. People wonder why I call it the degenerate economy now. But in a world where everybody can just click a button and own something, from where we were 30 years ago with DOS and delayed,
and delayed quotes and calling in a broker or whatever. Yeah.
But we live in an instantaneous where everybody can buy something. So So now we have like the greatest game in the world can be played by everyone in every corner of the world. U.S. stocks, QQQ, SPY. So we live in a world where everybody has access. That's just fascinating. If people think if people don't understand the magnitude of what we're going through, and they're like questioning this stuff, and they think they can put this stuff back in the box. You can't put this back in the box. It's only getting more degenerate. Now you have prediction. So I'm saying, so getting in has never been easier. So I was lucky to just understand the birth of this investing with the E-Trade baby and the Apple Store. But now we're in exponential mode. So then you ride them. That's hard. Because
sticking with them is hard,
especially if you're looking at a screen staring at a price. Because the longer you stare at a price, we're all guilty of it. We're humans. If you stare at something all day and it flickers, you lose context.
If you sit in the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Yeah, and I've had a lot of haircuts.
The worst thing I ever did as an investor was staring at a screen.
Yeah,
because it limits your time frame of like you're staring at a screen. You're not living your life.
That's a great point.
So stepping away from the screen, number one most important thing to do if you're going to be an investor. But the screen means nothing. That's what Robinhood proved. They squeezed it down into one little screen, which was good and bad, right? It led to GameStop in the end, where everybody was pushing the same button, tilted the whole market, and almost killed, GameStop. To the point where now Robinhood is back zooming out. Like, what's the, now it's more about connoisseurs. Like, Robinhood squeezed the world into like one little iPhone. And the ultimate factor was everybody saw the same button at the same time and pushed GameStop calls, and the market broke, right? That was the evolution of taking the whole market, squeezing it into one iPhone, which led to the opposite happening. Now we're going back out. No one trades from their iPhone. They want to have a nice screen, not 10 screens. Because there's an amazing moment of trend finding and trend riding. But now getting off becomes the art. Like you have to decide, you have to understand the scope of these trends and how big they can be, right? Like there's Apple and then there's smaller trends. So you've got to know where you sit in the galaxy of like trends. And so, I mean, what's fascinating about what I do now is everybody can do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the great, we talk about free speech. We talk about, everybody's talking about free speech. And I'm like, and one of the greatest things in America is you can invest.
Yeah.
Right. And that there's a system for investing, like it or not, there's a system. And even though it doesn't work all the time, the basing of the system is based on profits. So if you buy companies that are growing their profits, it may not make sense over one day, over 1 month, over 1 year, but over 20 years, Philip Morris or Apple or Netflix.
The principles are the same.
The principles are the same. The daily mania, the books are changing all the time, but pretty much over time.
If you're making money, for the most part over time, your company's value is going to grow. Yeah.
And that's what people, And again, when you have this many new entrants into a system, of course, and all this new capital, things are going to be overvalued. So the game changes a little bit, but over time, we go back on trend somehow, and the fundamentals start mattering again.
So you said everyone can do what you're doing as far as the public markets.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge where I think I've talked, because I told a lot of people I was going to talk to you, and they're like, how do you get into the private markets? Because a lot of people who don't know, you're first investor in Robinhood, eToro, very early in eToro, and so many other...
Manscaped.
Yeah.
The opposite.
So many other...
He's here in Vegas.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, the list. I mean, I know Discuss and TweetDeck. I mean, there's a million of them, and what was the other one I was thinking of? And Twitter too, of course. At a 5 million valuation.
No, so Twitter was one of my biggest mistakes. So I think it's more fun to talk about the mistakes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So, and this goes to why I got into the business. So why I got into the business, screen watching. Right, I was my worst self because. Before the internet, before YouTube and Web 2, it was still pretty much a DOS world, even in the financial world. Even though Apple was out with their products, everybody still was on a IBM or a Dell computer, and all financial software was you had to download stuff.
Yeah.
So it was still that type of world. Then YouTube came out, right? And YouTube and Twitter, they all kind of came out around the same time, within 2 or 3 years of each other. And that really expanded the scope of like everybody getting on the internet. Even though it wasn't everybody, it was like the first time it was like, it just like made sense. Like people just filming anything, whether it was their cat or a television.
When Google bought YouTube, by the way, for $1.6 billion.
People thought they were crazy.
I thought that was the most overvalued.
I didn't. I wrote a post because we had started my show Wall Street, and we were doing man on the street interviews in New York.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Lindsay would go out on the street, and 90% of people were like, "They're crazy." And
now they're
YouTube
doing
was getting sued by every media company. Right? History is very important in all this stuff. The unbundling and bundling.
No, I love it. I love it.
And I just loved YouTube. I just knew. So this goes to trends. It didn't matter to me what people thought of YouTube. I was addicted to it. And if I was addicted as a 40-something-year-old person and a 10-year-old filming their cat was addicted to it, I was like, people don't understand. They wanted to project it as I was losing money. I was only 18 years old. Think about what's worth $1.6 billion today. Like you can fart and you can tokenize it and it's worth $1.6 billion.
Yeah, at least.
And so 1.6 billion back then, by the way, 1.6 billion was a lot of money. Right. I get it. But I mean, think about 1.6 billion when it buys you today, and what maybe the greatest transaction of all time. And people poo-pooed it.
Yeah. Well, same thing with Instagram when Meta bought Instagram for a billion.
19 employees.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
It was like 300, 700, and they just said we'll give you $1 billion or something.
Yeah, and I remember
happened like in a
I haven't answered the Twitter question, but
I know we're all over the place. Sorry.
But the Twitter. So first, I'll tell you the Instagram story. So I'm sitting with Dick Costello, who's CEO of Twitter at the time, somewhat friendly, and we were just having a random meeting in San Francisco, and we're at dinner, and he's saying, what should I do? Like the industry was really small because Twitter was about to offer $630 million. I was inside baseball, and I knew a lot of the people, and he goes, "What do we do?" And I remember saying, "Whatever you offer, Facebook's going to double the." They were fucked.
Yeah,
because they're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
And they just did a raise under $100 million. It was their last raise. Like it was so like a week or a month earlier.
Yeah. So back then it was like a game of chess. So Twitter wasn't the biggest company. So they're kind of damned if they do. If they don't make an offer, they got to make an offer. But no matter what offer they make, Facebook's sitting there with. They knew he was going to make the offer. So I remember being at that meeting, going, "You're fucked." And so going back earlier. The person you say that I helped you start a blog, the person that got me into the business was Fred Wilson at Union Square Venture. I used to just read his blog about investing. I love that more than I love public market. He's probably one of the best venture capitalists of all time. And he had this simple blog like all of us. Me and Phil Perman would hang out on that blog and leave comments on discuss.
Yeah.
And he took a liking to us. And I remember when I started Wall Street, my show, I called Fred Wilson. I said, I'm going to create CNBC on YouTube. So YouTube comes out I'm fascinated with YouTube. And it was all cat videos. It was all like people filming Dukes of Hazzard on their, like it was all just stupidity.
Yeah.
People didn't know what to do with it. And I remember cold calling Fred Wilson at the time, who I was just using his blog, and saying, I'm going to create CNBC on YouTube. That was my epiphany. Just because I had grown up in financial industry watching CNBC, and I would talk to the TV going, but these guys don't know what they're talking about. So it's kind of like South Park. So when YouTube came out, my big idea was, why doesn't someone just build a 24-hour business channel on YouTube? And I sent that business idea to Fred Wilson, who said, genius, I'll give you money. I'm like, I don't even know what to do if you gave me. Like, I don't know what the first step would be. So our first step was building one show, Wall Strip. Yeah. It was a 3-minute daily show. It was even though we were paying actors like $2,000 or $3,000 a month, that was a lot. Yeah. Because everybody was just filming their cat at the beginning of YouTube. And because we were so early to it, and because our show was like pretty well produced, it was a pretty funny show, CBS bought our show. So I'm saying, like, being in there and using the products and just being open-minded, because as a user, I knew it was going to be important. I tuned out what everybody was saying about it, because everybody was focused on the fact that people didn't know what they were doing. I was focused on the fact that everybody was doing it and that people like me would figure it out. So, I mean, 1.6 billion. I mean, I've owned Google since the whole time. I mean, I still think YouTube's a tremendously undervalued asset. Yeah, they paid distribute your show on YouTube.
They paid 1.6. Do they do 30 billion? Is it quarterly or annually or something? Like, it's like
the asset is what do you call it? It's priceless.
Yeah,
because.
But if they were to spin off YouTube from 1.6,
I wish I would spin it.
It would be at least 200 billion.
No, it'd be close to $1 trillion.
Really?
It'd be as much as Netflix, 500-600 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, people use it for their music. People use.
Oh yeah, the average person's like 45 minutes on YouTube every day or something.
So I'm YouTube TV at the end of the night because the algorithm just knows what I like.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, I'm down like algo. Shouldn't trust algos, but you know what? It's like a warm blanket for me. Go to YouTube. I just know comedians, podcasts, traders. Yeah. It just knows me. And, you flip through it. It's like no commercials, no nothing. And so I think being early and playing with these products. So Twitter was the other one.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the mistake you made with Twitter.
Yeah. So Twitter was the other one. Twitter comes out. I thought it was stupid at first.
It is stupid still.
I agree. So I was right. And so I was like, this is stupid. Like, because it wasn't.
I get off Twitter every day. And I'm like, this is stupid.
Well, I don't have the app anymore, but I mean, I still have friends there. So, but it is stupid.
Yeah.
So I was right that it was stupid, but I kept coming back to it for whatever, because not because regular people were using it, because my industry was using it. Right. The venture capitalists were all on it, so you had to be on it. Right. And once you got on it, there was some signal that, like, everybody's talking deals and whatever amongst all, I just took a poop or whatever was going on. The right people were on it. So I kind of had to use it. And by having to use it, I really liked it for what I needed to use it for. Sure. And I said, what Twitter should be used for is people talking about stocks. Like I remember in 2007 saying to Fred Wilson, and by the way, there was no iPhone, there was just BlackBerry. I remember sending a BlackBerry message to Fred Wilson. I said, the president's going to fucking use this one day, and the markets are going to move. And Fred, who was my investor before, he goes, and he was Twitter's there, he goes, that's genius. You should talk to Ev and Jack at Twitter. And I remember he set up a meeting for me with Ev and Jack, and I was pitching him finance.twitter.com. I was like, guys, just like Yahoo, Twitter's best market will be finance, because one day the president's going to tweet. And
it's very insightful, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Fred Wilson is very insightful because he heard me say it and he goes, I'm setting up a meeting with Jack and Ev.
Okay.
And so I went and pitched them before I started Stocktwits, I went and pitched them finance.twitter.com, because back.
A specific vertical within Twitter.
Yeah. And let people talk about stocks, because you are the market. Like, because in Yahoo Finance 8 years earlier, it was 20 minutes delayed. So the big
and they had chat rooms, which were a disaster.
The chat rooms are fine, but because they're never going away. But what
I
I'm
shouldn't
saying
say
is,
disaster. It was just the only way to communicate.
But you're also 20 minutes delayed data.
Correct.
So imagine me stumbling onto Twitter because of venture capitalists than having the epiphany with the smartest investor in the world saying, one day the president will tweet and the markets will move.
In real time.
In real time. And I said, the unlock for me and you and Phil and all our friends we were the idiots on Yahoo Finance 8 years earlier, thinking we were
cutting edge.
Cutting edge, right? Like they didn't know
I was
that.
on there.
Of course, because we didn't have access to Bloomberg. So 20-minute delayed quotes was like we were ahead of every other idiot.
Yeah.
But then the world caught up. Like fundamentals eventually matter, and we were the last guys out of a party, even just being 20 minutes late. So then you have this huge bear market, then YouTube, which I got into, and then Twitter. And Twitter didn't have the same scope of YouTube because it was text and whatever, but I was there with the right use case at the right time. And Jack and Twitter has missed this completely the whole time.
So what happened in the meeting?
So the meeting, they were like, kumbaya, I don't know, the plane lands on the Hudson. Remember the plane landing on the Hudson? They had all these moments because they were capturing them. They didn't understand markets. So they were like... They didn't understand the key unlock of Twitter was real-time information.
News is real-time. There's nothing more.
There's nothing worse to monetize than news. You know what you monetize? Getting in front running the
financial information. There's nothing more
real-time. My idea
was
the link should lead to your brokerage. So if the president tweets and you see the stock, you click the button, opens your brokerage account, and you make a trade.
Genius.
Yeah, that's what Fred said. Fred goes, they're going to buy, they'll pay you $10 million for the idea. So I fucking walk in there with my fucking Crocs and I pitch them the idea and they're like, fuck off. They were like, you go do it. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they said, well, you just use our API. And so like a sucker, I went and started Stocktwits, right? They said, we won't copy it. Like use our open API. And I developed the $ and blah, blah, blah. And I started Stocktwits. I didn't really want to start it.
You founded the cash tag.
Yeah. So I didn't want to start it. They just didn't like the idea.
Well, you shouldn't have wore Crocs.
I should have worn Crocs. And back then, it was all like nerdy-turdy San Francisco guys.
I know.
And I walk in there with this idea, I'm going to show you the light. But these San Francisco people think they are...
I
think they're shit done. They thought they had the idea, which they did. It's their company. And
but they didn't have this idea.
No, they still don't have the idea.
Yeah.
Like Twitter's still... selling ads against news is the worst business in the world. But guess what it leads to? Fake news or opinions. Because the only way to monetize news is crazy-ass opinions.
That's a good point.
Yeah. They chose the wrong business model. Especially when your competitor is Google or Facebook. Like, you're subscale. So, anyways, Twitter, as great as it was, this goes to trends, not as big as YouTube. Right? And because YouTube... was a lean back, even the show. You can sell ads against this show. You can't sell ads against you and I having a text conversation.
My friends who don't get Twitter or don't use Twitter,
they were lucky.
They have the same comment, which is, I don't get it. I don't know how to use it. But you know what? YouTube, idiot proof.
Idiot proof. Here's the thing about
everyone
Twitter.
knows how to use it. It's
made me led me to all my success.
Yeah.
Biggest waste of time of all time. I mean, the trade-off is...
I think those are both accurate statements.
That's what I'm saying. So if people ask me what the greatest thing that ever happened to me was Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I got it for the one use case, and I ran with that use case. It led me to Robinhood
and
everything
you built
else.
a lot of stuff.
On that.
Right.
The biggest waste of my time in the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Twitter. Because guess what I've gotten out of it in the long tail? Within 2 years, we will not go to that site. Because OpenAI flips the whole thing. The message box is type what you want into the message box, and thou shalt receive information. Versus me farting into the wind, and people go, "Oh,
but you can
token.
You said you can tokenize that fart.
You can tokenize the fart, and so the roles have been reversed.
Okay.
And so my prediction going forward is Twitter will be in the background because no one will want to go get yelled at in the machine. And the new form of news, this is something a new insight that I've had over the last few months, is that PolyMarket, all these prediction markets are the future of news. So it's like everybody looks at prediction markets, like people betting on everything, as the worst thing to happen to society. No, the worst thing that ever happened to society has been television, even though it's great, and social media.
Right.
Okay, because the algos control it and put your brain...
Program your brain.
Okay.
Right.
That's
why it's called television.
What isn't programmable are the markets and human behavior, right? The markets fluctuate and people make mistakes.
True.
So think about a world where all news is driven by markets, meaning prediction markets. Meaning I'll look at a meter and go, oh, based on the money line, this guy is a likely winner over this guy, or the Fed's more likely. Meaning, I'll start with the money line. And if I want to dig in deeper, because if you go to Twitter, Elon Musk has put his finger on the scale. So, like, are you going to believe Elon? You're going to believe their algo, or are you going to go to PolyMarket, which takes in all the money that's been bet? And of course, that can be tilted too until there's much more scale.
It's less influence, or whatever the word is,
by one person.
Right.
So we are going to move to a world where PolyMarket or some version of it is the front page of news. It won't be opinion; it'll be prices. And then you can dive deeper beyond that.
I'm starting to see that now, where the headline is PolyMarket is predicting this or saying. And
you can. This is the same thing that happened with YouTube. Oh, it's just some guy, with his cat betting on this. You can.
It always starts with a cat. Yeah. So I got to get a cat. I got to get a cat.
It always starts with
the pussy. It always starts with the garage too.
You can't work the pussy.
Every company started in the garage. No, we'll keep it.
I'm not cancelable. Finally, I'm cancelable.
It's my podcast. You can say pussy all you want.
What's going on right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's been complaining about Twitter. Guess what? For the right reason. In the end, it's worthless because someone owns it. And as smart as Elon is, he's the arbiter of everything right now, or Zuckerberg's the arbiter of everything. So you can't make the government disrupt Twitter or Facebook. You know what disrupts it? Something that you don't see. And prediction markets have existed for like 30 years.
Or something that one person can't control.
One person can't control. It just sneaks up. Okay, and I'll tell you one more amazing epiphany I've had about this trend.
This is great.
About this trend. Because I wasn't looking for it. Because you and I were stuck in the old fucking Twitter and all these stupid products, right? Wasting our time, followers. Ooh, why am I can't, my tweets aren't being seen. Fucking dumb do we sound. Like, of course our tweets aren't going to be seen. We were idiots for, like, buying into that system. So out of the blue comes a whole new way to look at the world, right? We've been complaining about the New York Times. We've been complaining about everybody. We've been complaining about Qatar owning the media. You know what doesn't own the media? People betting. Right, from all corners of the world, like poker. And now you don't have to believe the numbers, but if you don't fucking look at the numbers as your basis, you're going down a rabbit hole that's stupid. So I'm saying if you use PolyMarket today for everything, it's not deep enough. But the fact that it got the elections right, you can, and the fact that it gets so much right, and you didn't have to read someone's opinion about it. You just had to look at the graph. You'd be nuts to waste time reading through 1,000 tweets when you could just look at the meter.
Right.
Now, you can bet against the meter, of course, or you can believe it. And that's the other thing. If you don't believe it, bet against it. And by the way,
instead of arguing with someone.
Instead of arguing with someone. Exactly. No, you get it. Okay, the second most important point, like someone that's woke or someone on the other side, let's call it whatever. You don't like what you see in front of you? Go change it. Stop whining about it. That's the number.
Move the meter.
Move the fucking meter, as I tell my daughter. I said, like, get off your ass.
Excuse me.
Stop tweeting and Instagramming. That's the fucking number. You can either believe it's not true, but if you're scared of that number, do something fucking about it. And you're going to have to do real work about it. You're not just going to be able to complain into the ether about it. So I think there's a very good chance, and this is why I also think the market's been going up, is the Middle East is the only growth market. So the world thinks that there's some kind of resolution at hand in the Middle East, whether we believe that or not. That's a possibility.
We've been waiting 3,000 years for that.
Exactly. But now the Middle East is the area of growth,
right?
Meaning it's important to the markets. And I think the market's assuming, some kind of, which is, until the October 7th, there was almost going to be the Abraham Accords, right?
Yeah.
But the market still assumes something there.
Okay.
The second thing I think is being priced in is we're about to pass the social era. Right?
What do you mean by that?
Meaning there's something beyond social media, which is prediction markets. And that's so much better than staring at a screen, arguing with people.
Yeah.
Meaning, hey, if you don't know how to read this stuff, you're the sucker in the room because the data is the data. And based on all these bets, this is what's going to happen. And so that is a much purer way to get news. No opinion, all money line.
And if you don't like it, move the meter.
I'm so excited about this idea because it's not an idea. It's just a product that's just growing. There's Kalshi.
I love how fired up you are. This is great.
Think about this too. I was talking about with the guy. we make fun of the people. I say the degenerate economy all the time. The kids are Ubering, and you got the CME. If you had told, so there was this period during Robinhood where like the world got mad at Robinhood because of GameStop and because they were using, if you bought a stock, confetti would drop on the app. People wanted Vlad to go to prison for life for this because he gamified investing. All right, we could argue about all that stuff. If you had told me that after people wanted to hang him for having confetti, that 3 years later you could go on the Robinhood app and bet on Wimbledon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But wasn't it also because of selling the data to like Citadel and all that stuff?
They weren't selling the data. It was payment for order flow. Every banker. Was it a PR blunder? Absolutely.
Okay.
I wasn't in the boardroom or know anything, but I mean, the punishment, this goes to the president not being able to spell tomato versus like now the president's orange. And spelling is the least of our concerns. So the same thing with the markets. We went from like people worrying about confetti to us being able to go on our Robinhood app and bet $10 on like
tennis,
whatever we want.
Yeah.
So imagine being in a boardroom like this, and Vlad. This is why I'm so bullish on prediction markets. So imagine you're in a boardroom like this, and you're sitting across from Vlad, who's just gotten pillaged for confetti 3 years ago. And imagine sitting in a meeting and Vlad goes, we're doing really well, but here's my idea. We're going to let people bet on everything. Imagine being in that boardroom and you're going, what, are you fucking insane? We're not doing this.
Confetti should be falling from the sky in that one. And when you get added to the S&P 500.
So imagine me as an investor who is not privy to all this. They launched betting on Robinhood. And I'm like, I don't bet. Like me, I just don't bet. I think the markets are fine. I don't bet on sports. I think it's stupid. I think parlay bets are, there's no positive expectancy. So I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
There's no earnings. There's no like.
But people still love it.
I understand, but it's zero societal value. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying. No, I just refuse to play the game.
Makes sense. I get it.
So imagine. So I'm the last guy that bets. But once Robinhood launches, there's two things I didn't think would happen. First, that they would ever have the nerve in the face of the confetti gate to launch prediction markets.
Yeah.
Second, that I would use it. It goes back to YouTube and Twitter. I'm like, I'm betting on everything because it's I understand it, and I can bet on events that I feel I have an edge on versus sports teams where I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So based on those two things, the fact that Vlad launched something that I didn't think they needed to do, and the fact that I'm using it religiously, even though it's not like...
Goes back to what you were saying earlier.
I am sitting on...
YouTube, Twitter.
This is the biggest... I could be wrong, but I'm saying I am putting all my chips into something's happening right now that will change the face of news and investing.
Is that part of what the social network they announced this week?
They announced a lot of stuff.
There was it's
a flurry. They become like Facebook where they have an investor day.
Investor day,
and they just dump...
Yeah,
every media.
There was a lot of announcements. Yeah, I saw something about social, like their own social network.
They're having their own Stocktwits, and listen, when you get that big, you
built a community. The community wants you. You might as well have them talk to each other.
Well, Reddit is worth $45 billion.
Yeah,
I don't even use Reddit. I don't even know how to use it. I'm scared of Reddit, but it's $45 billion priced in the public markets. So if you're Robinhood and you're priced at $80 billion and you don't have a Reddit, which you should have, you should launch a Reddit. So that's why they're doing it. Is like,
why not?
Why not?
It's brilliant.
Will it work? I don't know.
But even if it's half of Reddit,
even if it's 1/10, why give it to Reddit?
Right.
So that's when you're that big. But again, this is like, should that be their focus? Probably not. So again, when the markets get this hot, Robinhood did not expect to be doing this well. If you asked them 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But God bless them. They took a lot of risks. The markets have, bailed them out at some level. And they've made the product's been great from the beginning.
Yeah. Everyone I know loves the app.
Loves the app, right? And people wanted them to die 3 years ago. But if the product's good enough, whether it's Tesla or the Apple or Robinhood, if Robinhood's product sucked, wouldn't matter.
Right.
If your Tesla sucked, it wouldn't matter what Elon's saying.
Right.
In fact, he gets to say whatever he wants because you know what? The product's pretty good.
Yeah.
So it still comes down to the product. And Robinhood's an incredible product. The problem with Twitter is not a good product.
Yeah.
The YouTube, great product.
Great product. Before I forget, you said the mistake with Twitter, was that an investment mistake you said?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Because I thought you invested early.
No, I got
that.
pitched. So Fred Wilson was the investor.
Yeah.
And, him and I are using it on BlackBerry. He goes, you should invest. And I'm like, I don't get it. It's not big enough. So the time of the investment was 2007.
Yeah.
And again, this is me as a private investor. Fred's the genius. I'm just beginning to do private investing. So every investment I was making, whether it was my own companies or friends around me, every company was valued at like $1 million.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago, right?
Now it's 100 million to $1 billion.
Anyway. And so everything's like $1 million. And you didn't need a lot of money to start a company. So I remember Fred emailing me, he goes, do you want to do Twitter? And I said, no, I remember saying, what's the price? Not that should fucking matter, but that's how dumb I was, right? Because it's Fred Wilson. If the best investor calls you and says, you want to invest, you just say yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't ask
so
questions.
I asked the dumbest question. I'm like, what's the price? Like, I know what's going on. He goes, they're going to raise $3 million on 17 million valuation. And I said, what the fuck are these guys? I'm like, what are they, idiots? The can of beans is worth $1. You know what I mean? I'll invest, but like, I can't. Fred goes, okay.
You shouldn't have asked.
So anyway, the next guy he calls. So the next guy, so I could have invested $25,000 at a 17 million valuation. I remember being on the call and I go, Fred, for me to make 10 times my money, this would have to be like a $300, $400 million company. I go, what are no chance, right? I'm like, this is how smart I am.
Well,
so Fred didn't argue with me. He just said, okay, I understand, bye. Anyways, the next guy he called, Jeff Pulver, who was, I don't even know if he was friends with him, was a media guy. I remember, I didn't know Jeff had made my $25K investment. I remember being at a conference like 2 years later, and Jeff, the big guy, he comes running across the hall, hugs me, goes, thanks for not investing.
Because you didn't. He took.
So my $25,000 is worth over $10 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But I thought you had some piece.
So I did have a lot because I invested in some companies that were acquired by them.
Okay. All right.
Pretty quickly. So I ended up with shares, but not for the right reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you made up for it being the first investor in Robinhood.
No, but I'm saying, I think it's more interesting about, like I said, if you're born in 1965, you have to be completely incompetent.
Right. If you were
born
born
be successful. So all
in
these people bragging, it's fun to brag, but really what's interesting is the Twitter story because it's funny.
If
I
you're
screwed up.
born in the late 1800s, 1900, and you're age 30
two world wars,
age 30 to 50, you're dealing with the Great Depression and 2 world wars.
That's what I'm saying.
So life is all about, you need
where
some
you
luck
were
and
born.
timing and where you're born.
In the right place.
Because
right
I grew up 95 to 99 is when I started investing, and I'm always going to lean bullish because I saw an amazing period.
And I was raised upper middle class.
People younger than me that started getting involved in 07, 08, 09 and saw their parents lose half their retirement, they just want to short and hate the market. Like, I think the big short is the worst thing that ever happened to that generation because so many people, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to find the next Yahoo, I'm going to find the next AOL, I'm going to find the next Cisco. Yeah. And I'm like thinking of 5 baggers and 10 baggers and everyone's like, how do I short? How do I short? How do I short? And I'm like, it just depends on the era you grew up in.
This generation that uses Uber, that uses the iPhone, that uses DoorDash, my daughter's age, in the 20s to 30s, they're miserable. They're miserable for some of the right reasons. Obviously, they're inundated with AI and social stress,
right.
Anxiety, of course. But they're missing that they're using the greatest products of all time.
Yeah.
Airbnb,
DoorDash, the Peter Lynch
Uber.
strategy.
They're living in a Peter Lynch nirvana.
Yeah, he'd be like, I use all of this.
They're missing their own bull market, these poor kids, because they can't get out of their own heads because of politics and because of YouTube and Instagram.
I didn't get enough likes.
Hashtag black this and hashtag white that and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the saddest thing about this bull market is how little it's being participated in by the people that are actually
using the products. That's a great point.
Yeah. Sadly, we're in their head. This is why I hate social media. And again, I hate it even though I made a lot of money off of it, not because of the people, just because the product sucks. Right?
It's designed almost
the following thing is the design. You fell for this many times. You call me and go, Howard, why am I not getting more like this? I'm like, well, if you're doing it for that, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Remember, I would always tell people,
I'm guilty of that.
We're all guilty of it. What I'm saying is I knew it was a slippery slope when we started Stocktwits because we're never going to get you the followers that other people get.
whatever the human need of like, I need attention, I need whatever. And it's like
the human need should be to write it down for your own benefit, journal for your own benefit. And if you're not doing it for that, you've got to be the one in a million that's
Kardashian. What Mike Webster from IBD, he's doing his podcast so his kids and grandkids have something to watch later.
My kids love the fact that other friends will watch my stuff. It's not anything about, it's never like, Howard, great podcast. It's like, Dad, my friend's a fan.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the greatest thing ever. My kids respect me a little more.
Yeah.
Because they hear like the truth coming out of me. And my job with my kids is to get them out of their own heads. Because they're inundated with like the world's coming to an end. They're living in an era where they can get a burrito delivered to them from a fucking drone.
Yeah.
And they can't get,
they
don't want to have kids.
I wish a drone would drop a burrito.
They don't want to have kids.
I know.
So we have fucked up from that. And that's why maybe I'm just too optimistic about the PolyMarkets of the world. Something's going to come along. It's not going to be the government that saves us or Congress that saves us or Google that saves us. It's going to be something that looks like stupidity. And we're on the verge. And when you go to PolyMarket or Kalshi, just go to the fucking look at their front page of news. You're going to be liberated because you'll be yelling that this is stupid. Oh, they're off. Go bet.
Go, fine.
Go bet the other side of it.
Why not?
Why not?
Instead of arguing with a random stranger online.
Oh, then you can go argue. No, but go argue after.
I've got to the point in my life, I don't want to argue with anybody.
Of course,
I don't care.
You're a normal
I don't
human
care.
being.
Well, I'm somewhat normal.
But I'm saying
most of the time.
You're normal enough to realize you've batted your head against the wall for the wrong reason. Meaning every minute I'm on Twitter, it's a reminder of the mistake that I made. And every minute that I didn't invest in YouTube was a mistake of epic proportions, right? We have friends that invested in YouTube, like Josh, and it just reaps rewards, compounding. And we're all playing catch up because we got on the wrong network. And so be very careful of the network and friend loops that you choose too, as I tell my kids. The best thing your friends can have, the best thing your kids can have is a good friend network.
Yeah, you become like the 5 closest people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, and we as younger kids in Toronto and all these cities, we grew up with these tight network of friends. We were playing outside all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the greatest thing to be optimistic about. It was impossible for me not to be optimistic or successful based on when I was born, where I was born, who I was born to, who my friend group was, and then what was popular during the era. Like the music was so optimistic, right, in the 60s and 70s. The comedy era of the 70s and 80s was
epic.
Intense, especially where I lived in Toronto. So to have all that, I mean, I'd like to take credit for it, but like it's a Trading Places thing. Like, is it genes or is it your environment? I was born in the perfect fucking environment. So thank God I made money. And so now you pay it forward by making sure you raise good kids and making sure you're somewhat grateful and generous to the people around you. And with Stocktwits, it's been great because I've always been right. Like, we're never going to be Twitter, we're never going to be YouTube, but it can still be an important network. You just have to teach people why they're only doing it for themselves. If they're doing it to like become famous and rich, I think you're misplacing the power of what these things can be.
Wow, that's good stuff. That's great stuff.
Do we get it? Is the cameras on?
I think are we recording? Yeah, we're recording. So the question I got, which I have to ask,
that's without an Adderall. I did that.
That's amazing. If you're on Adderall, would be.
Well, you can tell I'm jumping all over the place. If I had an Adderall, it would have been a much more organized.
No, this is perfect. This is great. I have ADD and I've been paying attention this whole time, which is impressive.
But they're pretty good concepts. And these
it's great.
Concepts based on 20 years of watching the markets, experiencing, buying products,
leading to great life insight.
Yeah,
and life and great wisdom. The question I have to ask though is, when you said everyone can do what you're doing in the public markets, I have to go back to. So many friends are like, how do I invest in a early stage company? Yeah. How do I get into where I might see something and I want to make an investment at a million or 10 million or 20 million valuation, all this stuff, because people don't, and I just have to ask the honest question, it's just connections?
No, I think it was. I think they're asking the wrong question in 2025. The last thing you should be doing is trying to find the next Uber.
But they want to.
They're mistaken.
Because
the first thing they should be doing is opening a Robinhood account and going to study. There's so much AI that you can go say, You can go search whatever. There's so many thousands of companies that are public that are misvalued right now that I think there's never been a better time to ignore the private markets and to get back into the public markets.
Okay.
So I mean, that's my other epiphany. Ignore
the private.
Yeah.
Because or is that just so you don't have more competition?
I had epic competition.
You have tons of competition.
But now the point is, because we've been doing it so long, we let the competition do what they do. Meaning, thank God I started what I was doing in 2007, and that I met Fred Wilson. Again, this goes to circumstances. Yes, it was smart to at least listen to Fred most of the time and the group around me. But Fred doesn't write anymore. I'm not going to speak for him. All the people that were great at that era have pretty much cashed their chips and moved on.
Yeah.
Because the industry's now attracted, it's become ultimate fighting. It's glamour. It's like people are in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, ego, glamour.
Just you're hearing what your friends want to know how to get into it. Well, why do they? They don't even know why they want to
Because it's $1 and a dream.
Okay.
Well, I want to put a quarter in and win a car. Vegas vacation.
Now the public markets have expanded globally. Now you can trade against Eastern Asians that don't have the first understanding of American markets.
Right.
So why wouldn't you go bay in that game?
Because this is what I'm thinking. When I started, and you look at the 90s when Microsoft, Cisco, Dell, into all of these, I remember these monsters, they went up 30 to 70,000%.
Right.
Okay. And the reason is they IPO'd at 100 million, at 50 million, at 200 million. They
like
IPO'd.
I told you, YouTube sold for 1.6 billion.
They
The world was a
IPO'd
different
at a
place.
much lower valuation because, in my opinion, the public markets weren't so big.
But retail wasn't involved. So it was just there was 10 institutions saying if we don't want to buy your stock, no one will buy your stock. That's not the same anymore.
But you would IPO because you'd raise money and it was harder. Now, if Elon Musk says, I need to raise $2 billion for one of my private companies, Goldman or whoever will give it to him.
Two people in the world that can do that.
But I'm just saying, no, I mean, there's a million Shark Tanks that would do this type of thing.
Not at the level that Elon's. Meaning, why get into the private markets when Elon can change the private market?
Right, but my point is they went public early and they became monsters.
Yeah.
And so the reason people are asking to get in early while they're private is, I want to get in at a 50 million or 100 million valuation before it becomes 2 billion and IPOs at 2 billion.
That was,
or in the case of Facebook, 40, 80 billion, whatever they IPO'd at valuation. I mean,
what I'm saying
Stripe and all these companies that are worth God knows how many hundreds of billions that are private still, they want to get in
those
early.
happened 12 years ago, those companies.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's just
but
live in
they
the
want
reality.
they want to find the next one.
But the one today, I would never even find that one, right? Because I've changed how I play because that world is over. Meaning, Andreessen, Elon, all the insiders are playing that game, right? The Trumps. Listen, not to speak badly of them. If they put their name on a deal right now, they're oligarchs. If they put their name on a deal,
valuation. Snap,
no, I'm just saying
it goes up instantly.
No, they're in the energy. So the Suns and all the other. Silicon Valley is merged with the White House. I'm not talking politics. I'm just talking.
No,
turn on.
Facts.
Just go turn it on.
It's facts. Right.
David Sachs is running AI, and his best friends are venture capitalists. So if you think you have any insight, I'm just not dumb enough. I don't want to even be involved with these people. So what are the odds of me investing in that industry? What I'm excited about now is going to find the companies that failed after they went public for 4 or 5 years now and have been forgotten about because everybody owns the glamour companies. And then you just got to go do some work now. But guess what? Now it's all public information. You can use AI. And you may not make 1,000x, but there's so many ways to make 10 to 50 times your money.
Went up 20x in just the last 2 years.
People are looking for riches in the wrong places, and there's never been a better time.
So you're saying out of the 10 or 12,000
AI,
public companies,
and there's going to be
go to that
or
pool.
Tokens, or again, I'm not advising any of this. I'm just saying, you're asked like what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm investing in companies that will help me research public companies.
Okay,
because
I
no
love
one's
that
doing the work.
I love that answer.
Because I'm doing it myself. I'm not like trying to be controversial. I'm just telling you.
Oh, and I'm not trying to argue with it. I'm just asking.
No, you're not.
I'm just asking what my friends would want to know.
Yeah, so I say I shared this stuff on Stocktwits. Like Grab, GRAB. Don't buy the stock. I've been buying the stock. But what I'm saying is Grab is Uber of Eastern Asia. Okay? It did a SPAC in 2000 during the peak.
Hold on,
with
let
great
me put it
investors.
in order. Hold on.
But I'm just saying, there's thousands of these companies. They did a SPAC. I don't know
putting
why
in a,
they did
I was
a SPAC.
putting in a food order, by the way.
And they went public, and the thing went like from 10 over the last 4 years to $4. The business has gotten nothing but stronger. There's no competition to grab in Eastern Asia. They fucking do e-commerce. They ship your food. They do their Ubers. The company's doing better than ever. No one wants to own a $5 stock that but you know what? The company's crushing. And so why do I need to go find the next Uber when it's public sitting in front of me?
That's a great point. That's a really good point.
Do the work, make the phone calls, and have the liquidity. So the most important thing is in an era where there's 4% interest rates, because when I was doing venture capital investing and making money, interest rates were 0.
For the longest time, they were 0.
Yeah. They're 4% right now. So for me to beat, whoever wants to put their money in a private market and lock it up for 10 years when they can earn 4% risk-free, fuck inflation talking about that nonsense, 4% in just a regular cash account, the hurdle is crazy. You should have your money in cash and be looking at the public markets for ideas and making phone calls and doing the work. And so, because that's what I'd have to do in the private markets. I'll just do the work and have the extra benefit of liquidity, meaning I can change my mind.
And you're not locked up.
Tomorrow.
And you're not locked up for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. 10
with
years.
a founder that I hate and a strategy that I dislike. You know what I mean?
10 years is a long time.
10 years of marriage, man. And the public markets is a fling. And so the number one thing I've learned from being on both sides of the market is I'm really enamored with the idea, and you will say the same thing, as I'm purely ecstatic if an investment turns into a trade. So if I wake up tomorrow and grabs at $20, it's not like I'm going to change my price target. I'm going to fucking take the profit.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it happened in 3 weeks versus 3 years.
And it's liquid.
Yeah. And meaning that I don't know what it's worth, but I knew it was undervalued here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm okay with an investment becoming a trade. What you have to avoid is a trade becoming an investment. And we all are guilty of that.
Right.
I'm guilty of
especially
this.
If it goes,
once a year at
least. If it goes down.
But as I'm saying, you have the benefit of being liquid. So in a world of 4% interest rates, in a world where everybody's asking Joe Fahmy and me how to get into the next Uber, I'll do the opposite.
They're asking me how to be Howard Lindzon.
Yeah, well, don't be. The way to be Howard Lindzon, be born in 1965. I just gave you all the reason to be Howard Lindzon. It was in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luck. You need luck in life,
and
too.
I've also put in the work, and I put in the reps.
Sign of a good podcast is I have 15 things here. I haven't got to any of them. And
Did we get my name?
And
I'm Howard Lindzon.
I said introduction. Yeah, you want to do the intro? And we haven't got to any of them, and it's 50 minutes into it, and I could go on for 3 more hours. But I want to try to contain this to. Sorry. No, I love it. I could talk to you. We could do a Joe Rogan 3 hours if we could, but you have 6-year-old partying to get to.
I have some drinking.
You got some serious.
I have a couple of
psychedelics.
I have a couple of. What do I got to do? I got to do a couple of planks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You refer to the degenerate economy all the time. Can you talk about? Because I have some thoughts on that, but go ahead. I want to know.
Do you like do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
I'm not truly saying we're degenerates.
No,
but
we
there's
are.
a degen in all of us.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. You know,
but I say it in a loving way. Degenerate is a funny term to me.
It's
being
not
a
degen
negative.
is all. I'm a degen. We're all
degens.
degens.
It's a modern version of the word gamer.
It's not a negative word.
Yeah. So a degenerate economy is, again, by luck. I have 2 amazing. You're going to see my son now. Hilarious kids.
Your kids are great.
My son has a nickel to his name. He will only we are tethered by Venmo, meaning when you and I were kids and we wanted to go to Europe, we strapped American Express across our body. It was tattooed everywhere. It was like a fucking pouch, and you were like, "I need $100," and you're like, "Is anybody looking at me?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're in Greece, and you had an American Express try. Think of how burdensome that was.
Yeah.
No phone, no nothing. These kids today can live with $1 in an account because they have an app. They have a call. Dad, Venmo me, or whatever, or send me some crypto.
Fund whatever. Yeah.
So you can't blame these kids for. They don't think like we thought. We were so tethered to our home and checking in,
physical everything. Yeah. Now you're
I'm saying, these kids are untethered.
Now you don't have to leave your house with all the apps you have.
Yeah,
Ever.
your couch, everything it's like the Roman era. I can order 1 shoelace from Amazon. Just for a lark.
And it'll be
make
here.
A show
It'll be
about
here in
it
6 hours.
And goof on that guy, and you got a hit show.
I can get a stick of gum. It'll be here in 3
so
hours.
We have entered the Roman era, except it's drones, and instead of like 2 dudes having people bring them everything, millions of people have. Utter chaos. So if you're not a degenerate, you're under a rock.
Right.
Because and when I say by degenerate, I mean if you're door dashing burritos or door dashing groceries, you're part of the degenerate economy.
Yeah.
DoorDash may never. I mean, it's profitable. I'm so bullish on DoorDash because it's a habit that makes sense. You can't blame someone for not wanting to go to a Walmart 20 miles away to load up on their groceries for a month.
Yeah.
You just cannot, for the risk of having one bad banana delivered.
Right. Who cares?
Fucking Instacart it.
If one egg's cracked, I'll live with it.
So the degenerate economy is what happens if you give idiots like us 20 extra hours in the day, which is what we become. You and I were baboons. We had if we left home, we may never get back home again, right? We had maps. We had to break out the maps. You know what I mean? Get out of my way. I got a map. And then you're pulling over to ask directions. Are you going to make your kid do that? No. Maps. You got maps, you got messaging, you got Venmo.
And in Boston, there was always a Dunkin' Donuts in the direction where I grew up.
Yeah, at least
up 2 streets, left at the Dunkin' Donuts, and then go the 3 sets of lights right at the Dunkin' Donuts. Get yourself a coffee culotta. Anyways.
So think about a world where you and I as kids have 20 extra hours in a day. Of course, you're going to become a degenerate. You're going to order stuff. You're going to be part of that economy. You're going to trade. You're going to gamble. You're going to vape. Vaping's better than the cigarettes. I'm not for it, and I hate it actually. But I'm saying everything's evolved to a science.
You know, 100. Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's the degenerate economy. You have to think of that is the biggest economy that exists in the world. And if I want to invest, I want to invest in the biggest pool possible, so that all my mistakes, less magnified, because I have a fail-safe out that everybody's doing it.
That's a good point. So 100 last year, 93 of the top 100 rated TV shows were NFL.
Wow. That makes sense. I love the NFL.
But the point is, you think anyone gives a shit about Jacksonville playing the Jets on Thursday Night Football? No. Why is it being watched? Fantasy, betting. In-game betting, like that's the degenerate economy. Like, yes, everyone loves the NFL, or a lot of people do, but why are they the highest rated shows? Because of the fantasy gambling
and it's global
stuff.
NFL's small compared to cricket,
right?
Meaning we make fun of the NFL. Go to India or go to a place that likes cricket. That's 10 times as large as NFL.
True, but in the U.S., what's the phrase? They own a day of the week.
But degeneracy is global.
But degeneracy in the markets, over 50% of the options traded every single day are 0 DTE.
Okay, well that's bad. So there's good. So it's like good naked and bad naked.
That was the question I was going to ask.
There's a Seinfeld episode.
Is this all good or bad?
I go to Seinfeld because if they've covered the subject, even though it's not. So remember, they're like you know how to take the reservation. You don't know how to hold the reservation. Right. Well, there was another Seinfeld where Jerry was dating a girl who was naked all the time.
Yeah.
And there she was beautiful, but at certain positions she was bad naked. And he broke up with her because he couldn't stand when she got.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's good degeneracy and bad degeneracy.
Okay.
And you can't, unfortunately. You and I can curate.
Yeah, but if Robinhood's letting you parlay Microsoft calls to who's going to win the French Open, that's not a good thing.
But I can vote by not owning Robinhood. Meaning I can't.
You don't have to participate.
Correct.
Okay.
Meaning, dude, I'm calling it the degenerate economy. It doesn't mean it's all good. Do you think I hate that my son vapes. I hate that Philip Morris has figured out a way to slow down cancer to increase sales, right? You're going to end up with cancer just slower. That's their fucking tagline. And they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
So do you think I like that? But do you think I don't want that in my portfolio? And let me tell you something about Zyn and Philip Morris, okay? Because I own it and it's been a home run. And I hate myself for owning it. But I what do you call it? When you justify it.
Yeah.
Because I have 60-year-old friends who are in the best shape of their life. And their fucking fun thing is putting a Zyn in, while they watch a game or go golfing.
Could be worse.
It could be worse. So I'm saying there's good degeneracy and bad degeneracy. I think there's enough good degeneracy. And again, I'm not for sports betting and parlays. I think it's stupid, and it's up to parents to kind of teach their kids the math of this and go, there's zero positive expectancy. Will they get hooked? Yeah. And I think the government did a huge disservice.
Sports betting is legal in
It's never worked,
38 states
but
now,
it hasn't worked in years. They're going to unwind all this. But the good news is that PolyMarket and these new UIs are way better. They're going to be way more popular because you're going to bet on events, not on parlays.
Okay.
Now, will someone say, I'm going to take Obama with NVIDIA? You were going to have that.
Maybe.
We are.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'll worry about that then. Zero-dated options are the dumbest
But
thing.
not everyone follows sports. Everyone follows the news for the most part.
The rules of degeneracy are this. Imagine how bad it can get. And we're getting there. It's like zero-dated options are like, if you drew it up on a fucking wall and said, how are we going to blow people up?
Remember Inspector Gadget?
How are we going to blow people up
This message
really
will
fast?
self-destruct.
Assume the worst. Meaning, if you spot degeneracy and think of it as being triple degenerate, it's going to happen sooner than you think.
But that's the 3x ETFs, 4x ETFs. I mean, everyone
terrible.
loves this stuff.
I understand because they rationalizing it as options.
I need to make $10 million
But people need to get
by
burned.
Tuesday.
Yeah. But I'm
Not
saying,
by Monday, by Tuesday.
But people will get burned and either quit the market because they blew up, it happens, or they'll learn. And the best way to learn is by getting your ass fucking. You put your fan on the stove, you got to be a psycho to put it on the second time.
Yeah.
So some people put their finger on the stove all day.
15 times before they learn. Sometimes never.
And this goes back to adulting, I
What's
believe
that?
in buyer.
What's that?
Well,
This is
we're
a whole
18.
other
You
podcast.
and I were 18, and we were just, there weren't guns as much as there were today, but there was so much danger in the world, right? We couldn't reach out to once we left our house, comfort of our house, we were goners, right?
Yeah.
And so there's less danger in the world. So let's remind ourselves that.
Less danger, you think?
Well, I mean, I'm saying that's way less danger. Dude, you have a phone in your hand.
That's
You have
true,
911 in your
there's-
hand, right? I'm not saying it's not
Well,
complete.
there's cameras everywhere.
Cameras everywhere. But what I'm saying is, if you're 18, okay, we're not protecting. Like, I mean, if you need protection from like a crypto grifter, you're not going to get it. And by the way, I hate grifting, and in this era of degeneracy, there's just plain sight grifting going on from
So
the White House
the hot
on
girl
down.
in the bikini who's selling me crypto in my DMs, should I avoid him?
I think you should, but if you can't, you're going to learn.
Right.
And the worst thing that can happen to those people is they make money the first time because then they think that thing works. So lucky for me, most of the times I do something just on the edge, it just burns me. And so we all, listen, every year I make some stupid like mistake that I'm preaching here that you shouldn't make because we're human.
Right.
We get tied to an idea.
And guess what? We're going to do stupid things again.
Yeah. So
just try to make them less stupid every time.
Be less stupider is my motto. But the degeneracy thing to me is like seeing YouTube, right? Degeneracy in this economy when kids have when the world has 20 and now add AI into it, where people can have 10 jobs and no one even knows, meaning it's good and bad AI, but it is. Period. It's coming, and it's not going to slow down.
I can do open heart surgery now because of YouTube.
You probably could.
It's 4 videos. Once you get past the third one, sewing the guy back up is easy.
You can do anything on YouTube. People will teach you anything, and so putting that back in the box is not going to happen. So I'd rather invest with that trend, knowing that it's a big, big trend, and it's harder to get stuff wrong. So
that's another great point.
Put the odds on your side.
We could go on for a while.
But now I'm sweating.
But now you're sweating, and I appreciate you. I can't thank you enough, first and foremost, for being a great friend and a mentor, and the reason I started my blog. And the reason I probably even have this podcast, because I just built a little bit of an audience, and I'm grateful for that. Grateful.
But you're doing it for you. I mean,
but I love these conversations.
If you're doing it to try and get 1 million.
No, I'm not trying to be the next Joe Rogan, but if I could,
I don't think he's that good. Meaning, I'd rather talk. If Joe Rogan invited me on, I'd be nuts not to go on. But what am I going to talk to the guy about? We have nothing in common. I don't. Even if I believed in longevity, I don't even agree with how his body looks. But he's an amazing guy. I'm not saying he's not an amazing talent. What would I spend 3 hours talking to the guy about?
That's a good point. But he also is. I mean, he's dynamic. Is the reason.
And he's been doing it for a long time.
People forget that. People forget
He's put
that.
in the reps, man.
He's the 15 years behind overnight success.
And he was already known.
Right.
Not because for podcasting. He put in he had
TV
a
shows,
shit job forever doing
comedy,
TV
everything,
and doing
yeah.
stand-up. The guy put in his reps, man.
I know.
And that's what's great about the country is like you may not even have to be that good. Because, I'm a fan.
But if you put in the time.
The reps matter, man.
Yeah. That's another.
In investing, in anything that you do.
But
raising kids.
not just,
the more kids you have, like Elon, the better odds you can have one good one.
Exactly. It's a good
You throw a tranny in there, but, you get one good one.
You get a lot of kids is a good thing. What was I going to say? But yeah, not just the degenerate economy, the impatient economy where everyone wants to do 10 sit-ups and have washboard abs. Yeah. Everyone wants to make so much money in a short period of time.
Because even I do that now, and it's taken me years to become so much stronger.
We've become very, very impatient, whether it's because everything is on it. Remember, you used to get a statement from Fidelity or Schwab or whatever every quarter, every month. Mm-hmm. Now you have real-time quotes, real-time net worth, real-time everything. And I think that's why sentiment moves very, very fast because the data is being disseminated much faster and the news and everything. But that's a whole other topic.
If you're going to have, and again, I've made every mistake as a parent, but it's my job now, for all the mistakes that I made, to coach them, meaning to actually do my job and say, guys, I gotta be their personal coach and say, guys, I'm not going to tell you to get off social media, but like
learn from your mistakes, learn from your wisdom,
and get out of your own head and just worry about yourself and start being a better. You know what I mean? Take care of yourself. The one thing that I, especially with my daughter, I'm like, stop worrying about everybody else. I get it, like she cares, but I said you will do better by focusing on yourself. Right?
The less you care about what other people think, the easier your life is.
I tell my son is so selfish. I go, you could be a little less selfish. You could be a little less selfish. And my daughter, I'm like, you should be a little more selfish, right? It's really not that complicated. There's a train track, and you may not like it, and you may not agree with it, but it's a train track, and it goes somewhere. And, you get too far away from it, shit can happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just guiding them a little, these kids through it, because the weapons are out there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can go waste your life on the couch, staring at the screen, yelling into ether, and too many people are doing that. And it's our job to get them off that drug, back out there, experiencing these things, right? And you and I know New York, right? Kids still want to go to New York. They still want to go to San Francisco. There's periods where they don't, but they still do. Yeah. Like great cities,
there's fascination,
great surroundings, and that's an American dream still. Is like get your kids to those cities and experiencing them. And I'm glad my daughter lives in New York, and my son died to live in New York. And that's what you want your kids to like. If they don't want to live in New York, that's America.
Yeah,
is those kind of things. So I think I'm really optimistic because if I can do it, because I'm an idiot, right? Like I'm a complete nut. Well, you know us, so like you've seen us raise our kids. We don't know what the hell we're doing, but if we can do
nobody
it,
does.
And if we can do it, other people can do it.
Yeah. And actually, I'm glad you said that because I want to, besides thanking you for everything and your wisdom and mentorship, and I'm very grateful for that, I wanted to leave you with 2 or 3, whatever, wise words or wisdom, or you have a lot up there for the audience. And you've started already with that, but any sort of advice, whether it's life advice or investment advice or
you got to find the right mentors, right? Like for me, it happened late in life with using the internet and finding Phil and all my friends on the internet. That I wouldn't advise you finding them on the internet now,
right?
But you got to find mentors.
Okay.
So I tell my friends who are successful, just start mentoring other kids. And you can't mentor them all, but if you see someone with potential, help them out.
Okay.
And so what I tell my kids is like, don't be like ask for mentorship, right? Fine. Don't just go to job. Find someone who's going to like teach you some stuff, because there's enough people out there that need to mentor you. And then this whole work from home environment, that age group 20 to 30 got fucked. They weren't losing limbs in the trenches in a war, as I tell my daughter. I go,
but the mentals.
So I tell her like, don't worry about that. Like, it's not your fault there's not a World War III. Your World War was different. It was COVID. It was like, it was Instagram and like the moments.
But that affects the mental friends. More than anything.
Oh, yeah. They got, their minds have been twisted. So, I think these kids need mentorship. And so I would say you do one or the other, you're doing good. Like kids out there got to look for mentorship, and me and you, we have to mentor other people. And you don't have to change a few people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, it was fun.
I hope we.
What was the original topic that we were going to discuss?
I don't even.
Give me one topic
what's your name
that we
again?
didn't get to. Give me one topic we didn't get to.
Crypto.
Yeah,
we didn't even get
nothing.
We didn't get into crypto. AI. We didn't get into.
I don't know enough. It's coming.
It's coming.
Crypto's interesting, but I don't think it's everything. So I don't know.
See, that's a whole other hour. AI is a whole other hour.
Yeah,
but the big comedy was another one.
That's what we should talk
That's what
about.
we should next time.
I think it's on the. I think it's the biggest boom of all time.
Yeah,
and so I'm a big comedy fan, and I just think comedians are true artistes, and they've been bludgeoned for like 7-8 years.
It's one of the hardest jobs in the world.
Yeah, but I think they're we're now pushing back against the system. And I go to the cellar all the time. I tell you all the time. I love going to these small rooms, not much bigger than this room, and just seeing guys struggle or blow it out of the park, and seeing huge celebs come do 200-person.
Oh yeah,
it's like, there's no way. Maybe a few rock stars can do that, but only comedians can go be 100 millionaires and then come back and play a room for nothing.
Right.
And still love the game.
And Chris Rock can
same
show
with
up
investors,
and say, I want
traders,
I want to try out 10
just
minutes
love
of
the
material.
Game. Comedy and traders are very much in common because it's love of the game. Because it's a mastery of a language that you can take anywhere. And, it just so happens I'm in both. Comedy, not so much other than investing. But I would go up on stage tomorrow. Like, I had this idea, like, for the comedy company that I'm investing in. I'm like, guys, it should be like UberX. If I see Dave Chappelle at the cellar, I should be able to bid $100,000 to open for him. Now, if I'm not good at, so think about Comedy Cellar. They would make a fortune if they allowed this to happen.
That's a business idea.
One spot a night.
People pay $5 million to have lunch with Buffett.
So I go to the cellar and I pitch this idea, and they're looking at me like I'm insane. I'm like, you guys have this stupid little room. You're not maximizing revenue.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this seat should be $10,000 for this fan instead of $100. Forget these. They're antiquated, but that's part of the charm of the industry. But I don't want to go do the clubs. I'm not saying I'm funny enough to do this for a living, but I've earned a chance, right? And I don't want to go do the hullabaloo. I think I'm funnier than half these guys that, not their fault.
You are.
No, I'm saying it's not their fault that I've had to put in 30
my friend
years
runs
doing.
My friend runs an open mic. He says it's horrible. It's
I understand,
horrible.
and I wouldn't go do it again because I'm not insane. But if I knew I could buy a spot,
you would prep.
Not only would I prep, if I didn't prep, I would get tortured by the audience. So my idea is more like the combo of the Gong Show. Remember the Gong Show?
Yeah, I remember
some
the
were
Gong
fake,
Show.
some were real. The good ones were prepared and got their breaks. Recreate the Gong Show, but mix true professionals. Let the rich people like Amex go buy their way in and get shamed or kill it.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm totally in.
So at least we covered comedy.
We did.
That's a no-brainer idea.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm in. Angel investor number 2 here.
What do we name that company? Anyway, we'll work on that for the next podcast.
Thank you again, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.